Hello. After how long?
Also, for anybody watching on Spotify or YouTube, I'm aware I look ridiculous. And you're about to witness some beautiful novice hair braiding from me if you're watching. If not, ignore that. Also, we've been gone for forever and a day due to many extenuating circumstances.
Yeah,
But who
so
cares?
many. Exactly.
This is a pop
Okay.
culture podcast, not a why aren't they here podcast. Life
My my first note on the outline was, "Where have we been?" I said,
where have
doesn't
we
matter."
all up and down the eastern seaboard for me. Where have you
hmm I've just been mentally ill, which is the honest truth. And sometimes it's like that.
true? That's true. Very, very
Madelyn Cline's podcast supports mental health. You heard it here first.
we also support Jumbo Braid Coinkle on here. So if they want to send us a sponsor.
Imagine how cool for today.
Yeah, so today we are discussing the most gorgeous show that introduced us. Well, I mean, not introduced us, but put her front and center,
hmm
Madelyn Cline. Today we're talking about Outer Banks, people. We're talking about Outer Banks season 1, season 2, and we're doing that after Madelyn Cline accidentally spoiled the premiere date for season 3.
No, we've just wrapped filming season 3. It's on its way, February 23rd. No, 22nd. You don't know that. Oh, no!
So they're probably going to push that back, but that's my girl.
But we love her. We stand until the dawn of time.
Mhm. We're here today after Madelyn Cline was coming out of yield fashion and realized that there's now a median in the middle of the road and that she can't turn left. So now she's got to figure out how she's going to get back home. She's like, should I turn right and like an illegal U-turn or something? She's like, why did they put a median here? No, there, as far as I can tell, there were no accidents here. What they need to do is fix the light at the end of 52 St. James. But
I'm glad you know your roads because I would have never. I'd
I
have been
could
like, oh
I
no,
could
where
be
the
lying.
Taco Bell is.
I could be lying right now. I have no clue if
I'd
that's actually the name.
be like, where the Taco Bell and the Wendy's intertwine is where that is. That's the only way I know. Andre knows like all the street names, and I'm like, where the Pizza Hut is? No
By the
idea.
way, Andre is her man's.
Yes.
If we're leaving his name in even.
We can leave his name in. He doesn't care.
Nobody's listening.
Yeah. It's just us talking to ourselves.
It's just the host.
Whatever. I looks you like my background?
Yes, I love your Outer Banks lighthouse background. It's so cute. I also love how the Outer Banks is so orange.
I
Because
know.
why'd they do that?
Very anti-Twilight. Very it's giving.
Right.
Don't know what, but it is
That
giving.
feeling of like summer and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna go in. We're gonna go in today. We're
I
gonna
know.
have
Are we doing season 1 and 2? I thought we were just doing season 1.
we can do season 1, baby, because that just
Because
gives us
that,
more time to talk about different seasons.
yeah, I want to talk about both. Oh, in separate.
Should I do
Like
it?
I want to talk about season rundown of today's episode. Just us. Um, so my idea is kind of to be different than our other episodes. I want to go over like the actual plot of the show because I'm realizing maybe that some people haven't seen the show and have no idea what we're talking about in any of our episodes. So, in case you haven't, we're going to go over the actual plots and characters. Some of that I couldn't remember some of the names though, so I just put certain people's dads. So I think that's fine. Don't know. So I'll start by, I guess I can introduce Outer Banks. What is Outer Banks? If you're not from the Southeast, do people out of South Carolina and North Carolina know what the Outer Banks is? I have no idea, actually. Oh, well, anyways, the Outer Banks is an area. Is it in North Carolina? No idea. I think it's in, let me Google. Let me Google. You know, we are in the 21st century. I can just Google it. No, not season 1. where at? I said Outer Banks, where at? North Carolina.
Right, North Carolina. The are you talking about just sea islands in general, or
Yeah, well, I was explaining how I want the episode to go, and then I was gonna explain what outer if you don't know what Outer Banks even means,
right?
or
So,
where it is,
right,
or
right,
the vibe, I guess.
right.
And he's like,
So for anybody curious, and this is important to me just because I'm Gullah. So there are a bunch of islands that are sort of on that little dip between where it's sort of like North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, how like the
mhm.
country kind of like has that little, there are a bunch of little islands right there. Very rich in culture. There's a lot of nice food there. There's a lot of gentrification as of late. But it's very, very gorgeous there. And Outer Banks is one of those little islands essentially. Um, they've made the show Outer Banks is very funny to me, if only because why are there so many white people on that island?
Yeah,
Like
you do make a point. You do have valid points.
the islands that are like on the coast of like South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, I don't want to say that they're like predominantly black, but like it's like kind of assumed. Like like that's
I'm
like,
just listening. I'm just listening.
well, no, it's just like because I'm remembering like there was one time where like me and Star were down there. Star is one of our friends, and we were like chilling, and there was this white lady who like who was like yelling at her like in traffic or whatever. And we were like, what are you even doing here? we were like, we were like, get off our island. What are you doing? Which that's why I really feel whenever Hawaiians are like, please stop coming to our island. Because I'm like, you know what? You're absolutely right. Like, get off our
Yeah,
island. Why are
I
you
get it.
you're ruining the vibes? But in any case, I don't actually know the racial makeup of Outer Banks, but I'm sure that what we see on Netflix is not correct.
Yeah, I don't doubt it whatsoever. Lisa, when do they ever cast accurately?
But oof, we're gonna have so much fun today. We're gonna have so much fun today talking about Outer Banks.
I love Outer Banks. It's such a it's such a bad show, but it's so good.
I don't think it's bad at all. I think it's the perfect amount of camp. It's the perfect amount of
No,
adventure.
it is camp.
It
It's camp. I love
doesn't overdo it in my opinion. It does it in such a like funny, genuine way, especially season 2, but we're not there yet. Season 1 of Outer Banks details a group of kids living on this island. Specifically a young man named John B. Rutledge. We don't know what the B stands for. John B. John B's father is like a, I don't know what he does, but he went out on a
yeah.
boat one day and he just never came back. So he's lost at sea.
Hmm.
We
I gotta be careful not to I guess it doesn't matter if we give spoilers, right? Like if you're watching this, you better have seen. Well, no,
well,
you
no,
better.
we're explaining the plot and whatnot as well. If you want to
Yeah,
watch,
you better be prepared.
yeah,
I
we
guess.
watch Outer Banks so you don't have to, if
Yeah,
anything.
essentially, because I don't want to talk about I guess I want to slip up and talk about things that haven't happened yet, but I guess it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like you're watching this to figure out what happens anyways,
We
and they
can
all
talk
kind
about,
of
yeah. We'll talk about it in detail when we get to the season 2 episode. But until
yeah.
then,
We're
so
just gonna mic it, and it's time.
mhm. So right. So his father's gone missing at sea, and he is so sure. He's absolutely positive that his dad is out there somewhere. He's trying to like escape CPS so he doesn't get sent to the foster system because he's supposed to be like 16 years old. He and his friends are sort of just like lounging around his little seaside home there, and then he realizes that his dad perhaps may have found something called the Royal Merchant, which is a ship that went under like, I don't know, like 100, 200 years ago in this show.
Long time.
Yeah. And it supposedly had $400 million worth of gold on it. And so his dad finding it, obviously a huge deal. So now John B is like, oh, so my dad's probably like in hiding
Yeah.
because he found all of this gold. I've got to see I've got to see this through. I've got to see if I can find my dad, or I got to see if I can find this gold for my dad. I just figured this out. And it starts this whole like scavenger hunt with him and his three friends. He falls in love with Madelyn Cline.
Our girl,
And,
who's
and that's
Sarah, who's
yeah.
one of the, what are their names? The different,
the
the
friends,
Pogues.
Pogues,
No. Okay. Yeah.
which I'm sure people from the actual Outer Banks want it to be stated that's not a real thing. They're always very annoying that on social media. They're like, there's no such thing as Pogues and Kooks. It's a television show. It's
a television show.
Fiction.
Yeah. So who's on the Pogues are John B, Key, Pope, and JJ.
And Pogues are like, well, in real life, they're like the little fishes that are like too little, so you just throw them away, I think. In the show, it's a metaphor for like the poor kids on the island, which that part is actually quite accurate. The islands on the coast are like hugely divided by class. Like there's like the poorest of the poor and the richest of the rich. There's not really like a middle class on the islands because everybody who's there, like, I mean, you're either there because you're gentrifying the place or because that's where your family like grew up.
From.
Yeah. And so like you just lived based on like communal whatnot. So now there's like a bunch of resorts and stuff, whatever, rich people. And so the rich people are called kooks. I don't know what kooks means though.
I don't either. It sounds evil. But that consists of Sarah, Topper, who is like her boyfriend in the beginning, and her brother. What is her brother's name?
Her brother's name is Rafe.
Rafe.
But we've got it.
So evil.
We're just throwing names at the audience. We gotta.
I know. I'm just saying, though, they're like, I'm just naming the main characters. So main character wise, there's John B, Kiara, Pope, and JJ, and then I have Topper, Sarah. Topper is Sarah's boyfriend. Wheezy. Sheriff Peterkin, who's the sheriff of Outer Banks. I guess of Outer Banks?
Yeah, like Outer Banks Police Department, whatever.
Oh, Sarah's brother. I already have. Yeah, Sarah's brother, whatever his name is, Rafe. And then Sarah's dad. I guess episode 1, I guess.
Right. Episode 1, season 1. Let's go. What have you got for it?
I wrote some notes because I haven't seen, because when did episode like season 1 even come out? Like 2020? 2020?
Oh wow, really?
I don't know. Let me see.
Maybe.
Outer Banks season 1. 2020, April, so early 2020.
Wow.
Okay, so in the pilot, so it's just John B, Kiara, Pope, JJ, a group of friends, the Pogues. They live on Kildare Island. Kildare? In the Outer Banks, whatever. Yeah. Like King said earlier, John B is scheduled to move into a foster home postponed due to a hurricane. After the hurricane, the Pogues find a key to a motel room on board a sunken ship in the marsh. Oh, so basically, somehow somebody has a boat that John B just drives everywhere.
Oh, well, John B has like, that is something that like is kind of weird. They all just have boats. As far as I know, they don't really have like people. Do people own boats like that? Like that's kind of crazy.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I was like, why is he?
Because like, I mean,
where did he get it?
That it's like his dad's.
Yeah, it's definitely his dad's boat. Because wasn't his dad like we were saying, like an adventurer or whatever?
His dad was doing something. I don't know how he was paying those bills.
Doing something. Or maybe was he a teacher? He had a job. They talked about it at some point. Whatever. Irrelevant. Does not matter. Anywho.
Let's talk about John B's mom though. Don't you think that's interesting?
Oh, that's just not in the picture.
Yeah. Because like his mom is alive, right?
I have no idea. I don't remember.
I think maybe there was like a throwaway line in like episode 1. I don't know. I've got to like look into that. I can't remember. It's just, if she's dead, boo, boring writing choice. If she's alive, that's going to be very interesting because I feel like
maybe she's alive. I don't remember, to be honest. And they don't mention it in like any of the things I've read.
Also, whenever they introduce the characters, it's literally insane. So like John B is played by Chase Stokes. Oh, yeah, that's his name. And
Mhm.
like who knows how old Chase Stokes is? Maybe like 27, 28. Maybe
Yeah,
like
I think he just turned 28.
yeah, like upper
Like,
20s. And like he's supposed to be 16. And like whenever I first saw it, I
he's
was like, oh, they're like college students. Like obviously. They're like
mhm.
lounging around his little beach shack house, like no clothes. I think there's a scene where he like walks in on like his dad. He goes into his dad's bedroom and JJ is in there like going down on some girl and he's like sorry and he like closes the door and like he like moves through the rest of the house and there's like beer bottles and they're like it's like I was like oh they're just in college. They're
Mhm.
16.
Yeah, but every show's like that. Skins like that, Euphoria is like that. Like
But like in this show
suspension of disbelief.
because I feel like they
No,
couldn't
yeah.
like it really does aggravate me whenever shows are based in high school and they don't need to be because then it feels like it just it what is it it's my goat.
It's my code.
It just feels so unnecessary like
No, I get it.
you hired these older actors, you're doing these plot lines that don't at all involve high school, so there's really no need for these characters to be this young. It's like
Hmm.
ugh, so annoying.
Well, I guess because a big part of it is him having like if
To
he goes to foster care or whatever. So if he was older, then they couldn't do that, I guess.
yeah, like turn that into something else.
Hmm. I don't know. They're in the boat going down the river, the marsh, whatever.
They're just chilling.
And they find yeah, a body of water. And they find a sunken ship in the marsh. And does that scuba gear? Or he just
Yeah,
dives in, right? No, they have to come back, remember?
yeah, because I remember it's like they accidentally hit like the boat, and then
Hmm.
and Pope is like, I think there's like a boat down there, and they're like, stop joking around. That's too serious to joke about after a hurricane that somebody died in a boat.
Hmm.
And Pope is like, no, I'm being for real. They find
Yeah.
the boat. I think they like go down there just to like make sure that like there's not like any
No
bodies.
one's there. I think John B goes down there and then he sees what does he see on the boat?
Um, I don't even know. Does he find the watch that first time?
I don't know.
Maybe they find
I
the
think he finds no, because they find the money. Like they find some money or something, right? Or the
not,
gold.
not in the boat. They find that in the hotel. They like
Oh,
they go
whatever.
look down into the boat and they find like a
Oh, a key. They find a key.
they find a key to like a motel. And they're like
Mhm.
this is like an expensive boat. It's like a Grady White. I don't know what a Grady White is, but it's apparently a very expensive boat. So they're like, why does this expensive boat have a key to like the shittiest motel on this island?
Mhm.
Let's figure out what's in the motel room. They take the key, they go to the motel, and then they go inside, and there's like a bunch of money in the little safe and like a gun. The
Mhm.
gun is my favorite character. The gun they find in this first episode of Outer Banks is my favorite character in the show Outer Banks. The way that they use this gun, the way
JJ and that gun.
they don't use this gun,
Oh yeah.
any just anytime the gun comes up, I die. It's so fucking funny the way these kids use this gun. Funny in like a terrifying way, of course, because it's like, I mean, I guess that's realistic. Like if you
No,
gave
yeah, they're kids.
a gun, this is exactly how they would behave.
Yeah, exactly. But what happens? And JJ gets the gun. They have to go out the window because someone shows up at the motel, right?
Police show up
Yeah.
because they're like, I don't know, like the police show up because it turns out that the person who had the boat and had the hotel room is now missing. And like they tell the audience, like they show us like his body like floating in the water. So we know that he's dead, but the characters don't know that he's dead. Um, the
Hmm.
police show up looking for him. They find the money. They like put it into like like whatever in evidence, but they like make a joke that they're like, "Oh, we're just gonna take this money for ourselves." Hee hee. So now there's like distrust of the cops, which you
Yeah.
already have if you're smart. But but for the show, sake. Now it's like, okay, these kids can't really trust the cops because they're corrupt and they're stealing evidence from the scene.
Mm-hmm. Yada yada. That happens with the police. They leave. Later that night, they go to a beach party, right? That one with the movie.
Well,
Oh no, the beach party.
that's one thing I've never understood. So they talk about like they're like, oh, we need to throw a party to like throw them off. What are they talking about? Throw who off?
I guess the police or the
Like
people with the boat. I don't know.
like I cannot figure it out. Every single time I rewatch the first episode, they're like I don't understand what they're talking about.
No idea. Half the time I don't know what they're talking about. This party is so funny to me when JJ starts shooting at the party.
Yeah, so like they throw this keg party. How did they get the kegs? We don't know. Like they could have at least given them like a friend who's in college, like an older sibling or something. I don't know
Well,
how
isn't Wraith in college? Well, I guess that doesn't really matter because they don't know him.
I think Rafe is old enough to buy beer, but she's not their friend. Yeah, so they throw a party and John B is still doing his narration about like how the town works. So we like meet like the main three sections of people on this island, which are like the Pogues, the poor people, kooks, rich people, and then also the tourists. So like there's just like a bunch of people who are going to be in and out on the island who have nothing to do with anything.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also like, why are you touring this island? A hurricane just came through. Like,
People don't care. It doesn't matter.
are you okay?
Are you okay? But anyways, so they're at the beach party, everything's going fine. And then why does Topper try to drown John B?
I think JJ makes like
A comment, right? At Topper.
there's like, so Topper's girlfriend is Madelyn Cline,
Mm-hmm. Sarah.
right, Sarah. And I just did this braid so wrong.
Topper's girlfriend, Topper is one of the kooks. So he's on the rich side of the island, yada yada. And we don't like him. Well,
Beef
the kooks
between
don't like him.
Sarah and one of the Pogues whose name is Key. John B has a friend named Key who's like this socialist liberal girl, and she has money. Like she should be a kook, but she is such a socialist that she like doesn't believe in like hoarding and stuff like that. So she hangs out with the Pogues. She has beef with Sarah Cameron, this random girl, and we don't know why yet. But so like whenever they see that she's at the party, like she gets like mad. She's like, what is Sarah Cameron doing here? And like then it becomes like a whole thing of them being like, oh, Sarah, like you want to drink? Sarah, what are you doing here? And Topper's like, leave my girlfriend alone. And Topper and John B get into like a fight.
And Topper like tries to kill him, like drowns him.
Right.
For why? Because he's insane and evil. But anyways, after that happens, well, during that, I guess, JJ, the gun, our favorite character, comes.
Yeah, you know what that is.
He's got a gun! Stop! JJ!
We're good. Okay, everyone listen up! Get the hell up our side of the island!
Out.
Puts the gun to like Topper's head while Topper's holding his friend underwater. And he's like, yeah, you know what that is. You know what that is. And he's like, and then my favorite thing is JJ shoots into the air like 2 or 3 times, and he's like, get the fuck off our side of the island. Which
JJ's literally my favorite. He's so funny.
But it's like that one line of dialogue is the most accurate sea island, like low country response ever. Like, get the fuck off our island, actually. Like, I don't know why I let you guys come over here. And so their is blown, by the way, obviously.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's like he just shot into the air.
Yeah. So everyone disperses, yada yada. Next day, they want to go back to the boat because they see, what did they see? The watch, I guess, or the bag. Like they couldn't get something off the boat.
Yeah, there was something locked. Yeah, there was like
something locked. So John B works for Sarah Cameron's father, Ward Cameron, as a like scuba instructor, or he cleans the boats for him.
Yeah,
He did something with the boats.
yeah, he just works on the boat. We don't
Yeah.
really know what that means.
So John B goes to steal scuba gear from his boss, Sarah's dad. And Sarah catches him and is like all pissed off, yada,
Yeah.
yada, yada, irrelevant.
From my dad.
Mhm.
And John B's like, yes, yes, I am.
Like, yes, I am. And then he does it anyways. And then,
There's like,
whatever. I'm trying to think. I'm thinking of what happens.
but
I
also,
feel like go
Sarah
ahead.
Cameron has a little sister named Louise who gets called Wheezy.
Wheezy.
And Wheezy also sees that John B steals.
Mhm.
That's important.
That is important. So they go back to the boat. Oh, and when they leave the boat, they get chased off by some men in another boat.
hmm
And then Key, what does Key do?
He like throws like a net to like get caught in
Yeah.
there.
So they get stuck, and then the Pogues get away.
Mhm.
And then, oh, when they get back, they find John B's father's compass in a bag from the shipwreck.
Mhm.
And that's episode 1.
Right. They find, because everybody's been telling him like your dad's dead.
Yeah, and then they find the compass, and they're like, "Oh, my dad's alive."
And do they find like the note in it? His dad's written.
Yeah, that's how they know that it's his compass.
Like he opens the compass and there's something in it that says like Redfield,
Mm-hmm.
and it's written in his dad's handwriting. So John B is like, my dad's definitely alive, and he did this for me because I'm the only person who knows that there's a compartment in this.
Mm-hmm.
So next episode, the scavenger hunt begins, baby.
Mm-hmm. I loved episode 1. Let me make a stock overview. Episode 1, I thought was such a good first episode. Really got me in.
It really
It was so funny.
It does.
Mm-hmm.
It's
I thought
like,
it was good.
mhm. And like I don't really like narration in general, but John B's is fine. I think
I don't mind John B's. I think it kind of adds.
Yeah, I think Chase does it in a way that it doesn't feel like so like preachy. Like usually whenever you hear like a voiceover, it's like the main character is just like talking your ear off. But like when in this case, it makes sense. It's more of like we are also John B's friend, and he's just like we're like somebody that he like just met, and so he's like introducing us to like his friend.
Yeah.
This is my socialist friend Key, and this is my smart friend Pope, and this is my friend JJ who's gonna end up in jail one day.
No, I don't mind his narration. And I feel like as the show goes on, does he do it still after the first episode?
I don't even remember.
I have no idea. But I didn't mind it. I don't
Mhm.
know. Yeah, episode 1 sets the tone so well. I love it. Episode 2. Okay, what happens? I have like little notes, is what I'm reading. Sarah catches John B returning the scuba gear and agrees not to tell Ward, her dad, evil. But her younger sister Wheezy overhears them and tells Topper, who tells Ward, Topper, Sarah's boyfriend, who's also evil.
I love that every single time you say Topper, you say Sarah's boyfriend.
Well, I don't know, because he's so relevant that I feel like I would just forget. He's not one of like, I guess he is a main character, but I'm just maybe after a minute I won't anymore. But right now, and then Ward's like, I'm gonna fire John B because he stole
Cool.
from me, and John B is like, oh no. Oh,
Yeah, but John B thinks that Sarah is the one who told.
yeah.
Because that's the only person he knows caught him. So
So
John
then
B-
he's mad at Sarah.
yeah, so now Sarah has another op. Like first it was just Key, now it is also John B. He's like, you don't understand, people need money to survive. I can't believe you snitched. But it's also like, you're the one who stole. Like, calm down. Like, even
Yeah.
if you did snitch, like, she's not your
Sorry.
friend. Like, why would she?
Yeah. She actually actively doesn't like anything about you. So
Like, you're not friends. Be for real.
BFFR. I wrote about this part. I wrote this, but it doesn't have anything to do with anything. I mean, I guess it does. John B and JJ find Lana, Scooter's wife, because who's Scooter?
Scooter is the guy who died on the boat. It was Scooter's.
Yeah.
And they're like, why would Scooter have such an expensive bike? Not an expensive bike, expensive boat.
Oh.
Because Scooter is also a pogue. He's like an old man, but he's from the poor
Yeah.
side. They're like, why would
Mhm.
he have this super expensive boat? Why would he have John B's dad's compass? So yeah,
Yeah.
so they go to his house to like investigate. And whenever they go there are like goons that are like threatening Scooter's wife.
Mhm.
Like they show up and they can't even go inside to like talk to her because the goons are there like throwing shit around, like, where is it? Where is it? And she's like, oh no. She's like, my husband
I
died. I don't know where his shit is.
I know. Oh.
And so they eventually leave, and then John B and JJ come in, and they're like, "Girl, are you good?" They're like, "Are you okay?" And John B's like, "Yeah, I found like my dad's compass. Like, why did Scooter have my dad's compass?" And Laura's like, "Get that away from me." Laura's
It's like,
like,
and then she's like, my husband died for that.
yeah, she's
No.
like, "Don't let anybody know you have that, and get out of my house."
And then does she tell them about the merchant? Is that how they figure it out?
I don't think so. Like, John B already knew that his dad was looking for it.
Okay. Okay, then they go to the lighthouse. Oh, the Redfield lighthouse. So that's what they think it means. Is that it's a lighthouse in their town.
The lighthouse,
Um,
probably, right?
yeah,
I don't know.
I think so. A man tells them where to find the merchant, which is the boat that John B's dad was looking for. But calls the cops on them when he sees the compass. JJ and Pope get away, but Kiara and John B get caught and are bailed out by Kiara's dad, who hates them,
Right.
just by the way, because they think they're a bad influence on her.
Yeah. Kiara's dad, I really love the way that they humanize the side characters in this show.
Mm-hmm.
Like they give you like so much with so little. So like Kiara's dad comes and bails them out, and like I can't even really remember how they like tell it to the audience, but it's so like minimal where like you just automatically understand like, okay, like Kiara's dad used to be a pogue, and like he got money because he made like a restaurant, I think they say in the first
Yeah.
episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so he now has like a bunch of money, and he's trying so hard to keep his kid like away from the lifestyle that he grew up in. And now that she's like friends with all of these poor kids, he's like please like stop hanging out with them. Like
Well, yeah, because that's when they have that big argument when she's like, "These are my." He's like,
yeah, he's like, I worked so hard to keep you out of
mm-hmm.
this. Please stop talking to them.
Yeah, and I mean, to his point, like as the show goes on,
Well,
they
not
are,
as the show goes on. The first time we see him, he's bailing his daughter out of jail
yeah,
because she was hanging out with them.
yeah. So, and it only gets worse. But what did I write? He decides to give the compass to Sheriff Peterkin, who is the sheriff of Outerbanks, and finds out his great grandmother's maiden name is Redfield.
Mhm.
Wait, oh no, John B gives not her dad. Well, I think it was her dad. John B is chased by the two men again, but when they leave and the sheriff shows up, he gets in the car with her, and then she's like, "Oh, your great grandmother's maiden name is Redfield." And
Yeah.
then the posts go to her grave.
But also, like, another important thing is Sheriff Peterkin
Is
is
like,
like, she's like, if you like give me the compass and like stop like being annoying while I'm trying to do my job, I'm gonna make sure that CPS doesn't like.
didn't take you. Yeah.
And it's not technically, it's not CPS. What is it, like DCS? For some reason,
DSS?
the South has a
DSS?
different name for it.
I
I
think it's
don't.
DSS. I don't know. The social services.
Yeah. So corrupt cop helps John B.
Yeah, essentially. And then they go to his great grandmother's grave, and then Kiara finds
Yeah,
something.
Kiara like goes inside because they can't get the door open all the way or something, so they just send her because she's skinny. Skinny legend. Kiara goes in, and the episode ends with her being like, "Oh my gosh, guys, you're not gonna believe this."
And then yeah, episode ends.
Mhm.
Episode 3. What does Kara find? Kara finds an envelope with a map of the Royal Merchant wreck and a tape recorder with John B's father telling John B to finish what he started.
And I think the reason why Kiara was like, "You'll never believe this," is because she gets into the tomb and the envelope literally says John
John
B,
B.
like in big letters on it. Which, to be fair, how did his dad do that? Like, was that just like a fail safe? I guess. Like he was like, if anything happens
Yeah,
to,
no, that's definitely why. Because doesn't he say that in this letter or whatever?
I think he says like, if you're listening to this, it
Yeah,
probably.
something like that. But yeah. So basically, the Pope's like, I guess we're gonna finish what John B's dad started and try and find him or whatever. And I put Raph, Sarah Cameron's brother, starts selling drugs or whatever. Which I mean, I guess isn't not. Is it important? Is that important?
Kind of like Rafe.
I guess we're introduced into Rafe.
Yeah, Rafe, Sarah Cameron's older brother. We don't really like. I think it's implied that like he like dropped out of school or got kicked out or something.
I think he gets. I think he dropped out.
It's like college aged, I want to say. Like I think he's like 18 or something.
Mm-hmm.
But like something happened to where like now he just like lives at home. And so his dad has been kind of like on his ass where he's like, can you like do something?
Mm-hmm.
So now he's just selling cocaine to like make extra money. Which
Yeah.
like, why does he even need to make extra money? Like he's
Well,
fine.
doesn't the dad say he's not gonna give him any because doesn't later on he ask Wheezy for money or something like that? Because
Probably.
doesn't I think Ward cuts him off or something like that.
Yeah, that makes sense then.
The Pokes head to the salvage yard to get a drone with a camera to explore the wreck.
Yeah.
Kira distracts the guard while the boys get the drone.
Well,
Oh, because JJ's dad used to work at the salvage yard.
that's another little like backstory thing. So like JJ's like, oh, my dad works there and like got fired because he used to like steal the stuff there, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
That's just this like old salvage yard place. And he's like, one of the things that my dad didn't get to steal was like a drone that can go underwater. And so he's like, we can just steal that. And then we don't have to like worry about scuba gear because they lost the scuba gear when Ward caught them stealing it. And it was out anyway, a bear. So like whenever they like go and steal it, JJ has this moment of like I think he gets caught like stealing it, and the guy,
Mm-hmm.
what are you doing here? And he's like, oh, like my dad told me that I have to steal this drone or he's gonna hit me again. Sob, sob, sob. And the dude is like, okay, I'm not gonna call the cops, like just go home. And JJ does a little celebratory jig.
And then they run away. John B gets the drone, blah, 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 blah. And then later, a fisherman finds the body of the two men that were chasing the compass and calls the cops. Pope delivers like groceries for his family on the Cook side of the island. And while he's over there, Sarah Kimmon's brother and her boyfriend jump him with a golf club because they're coming back from golfing, because of course they are.
Yeah. And I think they're like, you stay off our side of the island. And he's
Yeah.
like, literally my job. He's like, you guys.
It's literally my job. And then while they're leaving, JJ and Pope see, or is it Sarah Cameron's boat or Topper's boat? I think it's Topper's boat, his new boat. Yeah, his new boat. And they pull the plug on the boat, so the boat sinks. Is that what happens at the end? Yeah. And then they find the boat again. They go look at the boat. They don't find any of the gold at the boat.
Yeah.
The DCS is
out.
what it's called. Yeah. They figure out someone already came and took it. And then the DCS, so like the social services people, and the police show up to take John B to foster home. He gets out of there, loses his dad pictures and gets wounded. Sarah Cameron finds him. Is this when she says that line where she's like, did you just yeet over that chain? So that happened. Retrieves the picture that he loses of his dad, takes him to Tanny Hill to patch up the wound. What is Tanny Hill? I don't remember.
It's the plantation where Sarah lives.
Okay, cool. Topper finds a sunken boat, and he and Wraith and Kelsey decide it was sunken by Pope. But was it? Yeah, Pope did sink it. Not sunk it.
Yeah. Kels is just like this random black guy who hangs out with Topper and Rafe.
Yeah. He's side character, whatever. At Tanny Hill, John B. Oh, and when John B goes to get fired by Ward, he sees a map or like a portrait on her dad's wall's office of a plant of Tanny Hill, right? Or it's like a map or something.
No clue. No clue.
I don't remember. But John B asked Sarah about it, and then she reveals that Denmark Tanny, creator of Tanny Hill, is in the portrait, whatever. John B recognizes the name and realizes that Denmark survived the wreck of the merchant.
Mm-hmm. Right. Which
Yes.
which is also like, how did nobody else catch that? That's weird.
Because
Yeah. So like Denmark Tanny is some guy who is enslaved on the boat, and whenever the boat went down, he somehow managed to get off with all of the gold.
Mm-hmm.
So he got back to, Outer Banks, and then just used the gold to like buy himself the plantation. I think he like freed all of the slaves on it, and then he just lived there for the rest of his life. And
Yeah.
so Sarah Cameron is like, yeah, like that's the guy who used to own this plantation. And John B is like, that is the dude with the gold, and I gotta figure out what he did with
I
that
gotta
gold.
figure it out. So then they go to where it's filmed. It's filmed in Charleston.
Right.
When
But
they go to where are they actually going in the
They
show?
go
I don't remember.
to UNC Chapel Hill, I want to say.
Yeah. And they go to the library to learn more about him. And then the other Pogues go to a movie and are confronted by Topper and Wraith. Oh, they go to like it's not like a movie theater. It's like an outdoor movie type thing.
Which is
But they're
fun.
confronted by them and they go behind the movie screen. And then John B with the gun again, they start fighting. And
What's up, folks?
What's up, Ray?
How you guys doing tonight?
Isn't it past your
Guys,
bedtime,
man. I
man?
just want to talk. Not so burly without a gun now, are you?
Take one more step, I'll rip that prepubescent face off.
Hey, Pope, do you feel good about yourself stealing shit? I mean, is your mom proud of you? Is your dad proud of you?
it flies. And then they start they start a fire, right?
Yeah,
Or he starts a fire.
Kiara realizes that they're like beating her friend's ass. And
Yeah.
she's like, I've got to find a way out of this.
So she sets the screen on fire.
Because I think like JJ is like, Kiara, use the gun. And she's like, I'm not gonna shoot
Shoot him.
somebody. Just because you sunk somebody's boat.
Yeah. And then during the fire, Rafe and Topper leave. Later on, so they go to the cops, Rafe and Topper, and tell them what happened. But instead of Pope going to jail, JJ tells the police that he sunk Topper's boat and he is taken into custody.
Which he did because Pope is like their ticket out.
Yeah. Like Pope's super smart and he has like a scholarship thing coming up and all this stuff.
Yeah, like Pope is like their ticket out of we out the hood. He's got the scholarship thing and he'll lose it if he like has anything on his record.
Mm-hmm.
So AJ is like, oh, I did it. I was just mad and blah, 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 blah. Because everybody thinks that he's insane anyways, which he is, to be fair to them. Like
he is. But he's so good. I love. Episode 5. Peterkin tries to get JJ to bring John B in by offering to help keep JJ out of juvenile prison.
Mm-hmm. He's got to pay like $30,000 and like restitution or something.
Yeah. And when JJ's dad picks him up from the jail, he beats the shit out of him, which is the worst scene ever. Hate.
It goes in.
Yeah, like that scene, that was like trigger warning. I needed a trigger warning for that episode because I was not expecting that whatsoever.
Just like without warning.
JJ's dad beats him up. JJ runs away from home and helps John B evade the police.
I want to say JJ like pretends to like shoot his dad or something.
Yeah, he like, his dad's taking a nap and he like puts the gun to his dad's head.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Like they put that little boy through a lot.
Mm-hmm. We find out Peterkin knows about the merchant thanks to the mystery benefactor who also has the compass. I don't know what that means.
Oh, so somebody like Sheriff Peterkin, whenever she got the compass from John B, she gave it to someone and the camera didn't show who.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like, I don't want no more drama over the stamped compass. Here you go. And he was like, bet. And so, yeah, that's him.
And then Ward finds this out later because that becomes relevant eventually. That Ward knows about the merchant because he has the Denmark tanny and like lives on the plantation and all that. Whatever. Post crash a party where John B tells Sarah to bring the map of Tanny Hill to him because they know that Denmark Tanny had the gold or survived and got the gold off the boat.
But it's also like what is it? Like, oh yeah, well, John B and Sarah like fall in love while they are looking at the stuff at the school.
So they're like a thing now, ish.
Yeah.
I don't know they're dating yet, but they're like a
Yeah, because Sarah is still technically with that dude Topper. And Topper feels very insecure because Wheezy was like, she cheats on every single boyfriend that she has. Wheezy is like a snitch. Like
she is a snitch.
Like that's like her only character trait is just Wheezy like snitching on people. So like now Topper is like going kind of insane where he's like, she's gonna cheat on me, she's gonna leave me. Oh my goodness, no. He like tries to sleep with Sarah Cameron and she's like, and she's kind of into it, but then she's like at the last minute, she's like, actually, no, not really. And Topper gets like really mad. So now her and Topper are like fighting.
I'm making a note to put in a clip about the Kia and Sarah fight where Sarah's like, yeah, because you're a bitch. And she's just going off on her. She's like, actually, which is not in this episode, it's in the next episode, but it's fine. They're fighting, yada yada yada. Pressure by Topper, blah 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 blah. Oh yeah, and then Topper shows up where John B and Sarah are, and they're kissing or whatever, and he attacks John B, which puts him in the hospital because he's insane.
Topper like pushes him because they're like on top of like a little like thing or whatever, and like Topper pushes them off, and so John B like breaks his arm or like sprains his wrist or something like that.
Scary. Sarah tells Ward everything, and Ward offers to be John B's legal guardian. John B accepts Ward's offer because, as you know, John B is about to get into foster care if he does not find a house or a family, or if his dad doesn't come back.
One thing about Outer Banks, they're gonna go in on the southernness of everything. Like, so now John B and Sarah technically share a father. And and Sarah
I guess I didn't think about that whatsoever.
And Sarah is like looking at John B like biting her lip like, girl, that's your foster brother. Girl.
That's the Fosters. Don't even get me started.
Like, girl, be for real.
Also, what does she say in that line? I would love to quote her.
Another thing that I got to talk about whenever we got to it is whenever they like go to that movie like on the beach and they're like throwing like the movie like on this big blow up screen and everybody just gets to like watch on the beach. Our group of friends, we tried to go to one of those because they have them every summer, and every single time we try to go, something happens. And the last time we went, it was so funny. It was like, was it like a tropical storm or something?
I think so, yeah.
It was very avoidable. But for some reason, everybody was still like, no, we're definitely going to watch Ratatouille on the big screen as this hurricane comes in. So we endanger our lives to try to go see Ratatouille. We drive to the beach, and it's not even the beach closest to us. So we drove for like maybe like an hour or something. We finally get there, and they're like, yeah, we ain't playing Ratatouille. They're like, if we play Ratatouille, people are gonna die. and so we were like, well, dang, like we still have to do something. And we decided just to do like a sleepover at our friend's house. But what I'm telling this story for that has nothing to do with it is, one, because it's just cute that Outer Banks, like, you know, like as like a person from the South, and you never see the South.
It's a very Southern thing, yeah.
Yeah, you never see like the South properly represented on television. Even in like, because the opening scene of Outer Banks is them like going through like a housing development that's not finished building yet. And they're like exploring and like running away from the cops. And like that's something that we did a lot, where we would just go through unfinished houses because there's literally nothing to do in the South. There's like nothing there except for like all of the houses that are coming in and kicking you out of your house. So like so one, that's the main reason. Second reason that doesn't have anything to do with the show is that whenever we decided not to watch Ratatouille and we decided to go to a sleepover, we're driving back to like where we live, and our friend was dating this guy, and she was like, oh, like I can't drive with you guys, I have to make sure that like I can lead my boyfriend to where we're going because he can't really drive. And we were like, what do you mean by that? Like we were like, well, like not even like really, like she was just like he doesn't, like he's not a good driver or whatever. And we were like, okay. And I remember I was in the car with Gar, like right behind them. This dude could not like I don't have a license. So for me to notice, it was insane. This dude was like swerving like he was drunk. We were like, what's going on? We were like, is he like on the
Is he okay?
Yeah, we were like, is he like having a stroke? Like it was concerning. It was like we had to like corner him with our cars so that other people did not die because he like would go into them. It was like some sort of funeral procession. He like, and the one thing that was taking us out, he there was one time, what there was one period where he was on the left side of the road, just driving across the yellow line like he was in the UK. And then and and me and Gar were like, is he going like on a shortcut or something? We were like, what is he doing? Because we thought it has to be intentional. We were like, what is he doing? And then he realizes he's on the wrong side of the road and he puts his turn signal on.
I mean, at least it's something. It's something.
Just that was the funniest thing ever.
That it's very funny. Episode 6, so we're halfway there. Pope basically is like, who is the crane? Why is this synopsis so like unspecific about who is who? Why? Who's
What?
Crane? I don't. Oh, that's
Oh, she's this old lady who lives.
yeah. So gold. The gold is in her basement, like under her house,
Yeah,
and
there's some
then
for like, why is the gold at her house? Is it like she like bought the property or something from
yeah.
whatever Denmark's kids? Well, no, because Denmark like died. For some reason, Denmark like gets hanged.
I don't remember.
Like they're going through Denmark's stuff and they find that like he left a note to his son that was like coded about where the gold is.
Oh yeah.
And it's like written in Gullah. And they're like, and it's very funny actually. It's written in Gullah, and John B is like, I don't know how to read this. Gullah is quite easy to read. It's a Creole.
Oh,
It's not
I
like,
do remember them showing the letter.
yeah, it's not like it's like you know, like English to like German or something. It's Creole. You can understand Gullah. So he's like, we have to go to our history teacher so he can translate this ancient text that is no longer spoken in the world. Many people speak Gullah. It's fine. You can
It's
understand it. But whatever. Very funny though.
Oh,
And it's like Denmark's like, oh, like there's wheat for you like under the tree or something like that. Or he's like, go like plant corn in like the southern fields or something like that. It's some sort of like coded thing where he's telling his son where to look for the gold, but for some reason his son never does it. So the gold is just still there.
Mhm.
And it turns out that the property is like no longer on Tanny Hill Plantation. It's on this lady's, it's in this lady's like yard. And her name is Crane. She's like legally blind and like 90 years old. And they're like, we'll just rob her. They're like, we'll just sneak onto her property and just rob the gold.
Mhm. When Pope tells them, blah, 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 oh, the Sarah and Key fight is in this. scenario. Remind me to put a clip in because
Their
it's so
fight
funny.
was just them like yelling at each other.
Yeah, essentially. Because this John B likes Key, right? Is that a thing
Right
yet?
at the beginning, John B, like, it's a thing where like all the boys in the group have a crush on Key, and Key is like, please stop doing that.
Yeah.
I think it's also like the actress does not have chemistry with them. I know a lot of people, well, like she has like platonic chemistry, but not like romantic chemistry. And
Mhm.
everybody is like, a lot of people want her to end up with JJ. It's just, she's a lesbian. Like,
Or alone. Yeah.
like,
Or alone. I'd rather.
I feel like maybe that character is either gay or just they just haven't found a person to put her with. Because like she does not
Yeah.
have chemistry with any of those boys.
No, especially the whole. Well, I'm not even. Oh, wait. Oh, wait. Oh, wait.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
so
Okay.
Johnny used to have a crush on Key, and
Mhm.
so like Key is like being like, why are you hanging out with Sarah Cameron? Why is she like hanging out with us now? And John B's like, I'm just using her for information, chill. It's not that serious. And then Sarah Cameron, like, I think Key like walks onto the porch and Sarah is sitting there.
Mhm.
He is like, he is like, I thought you were using her for information. And John B just has to stand there like a man who lied.
And
and,
as he is, Joey's nothing if not a liar. Joey, hey,
and like
Loki
the two
hates.
girls just start like yelling at each other. And like Key is like, you're supposed to be my friend, and you know that I do not like this girl, and you chose her over me anyway. And everybody reacts like she's being like a bitch, which
I
like,
know, because the boys are like, ooh,
yeah,
like
which
in
is
the background.
yeah, it's like I get it because Sarah Cameron is such a likable character, so you're kind of like not on Key's side, but like realistically speaking, choose me. Like you're
Just
gonna
pick
choose
me.
me over some girl that you just started like kissing. Like, be for real. We've been friends for years. like,
Mhm.
like, be for real.
BFFR. Okay. And Ward kicks Rafe out of the house for being irresponsible. Don't remember what he does. Probably something with drugs.
I'm trying to remember. I remember that the scene was very satisfying.
Yeah, because he's a horrible human being.
It's like something that he says where he's like, I trust John B more than I trust you. Because like he's just adopted
Oh.
like John
Mhm.
B, and like Rafe is still like going out like doing drugs or whatever. And he's like, I literally fired John B off my boat and I was still willing to foster him. And you, I don't want you anywhere near my house. Like I don't want you near my family. Because you're so insane.
Literally. And
Yeah.
then
Wow. And Rafe
oh,
move in with his drug dealer. I was
oh
like,
yeah. Key reveals some of her history with Sarah to Pope. I don't know what all she reveals, but basically they used to be friends, right? When they were younger.
yeah,
And
like
then
whenever Key's dad got money, she like went to like a popular school or something like that.
mhm.
So like a rich private school or something. And Sarah Cameron was like the only person that she really wanted to be friends with because Sarah was also like not like a socialist, but she was like an environmentalist. And she's like, let's save the turtles and blah 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 blah. And so Key was like, it feels very girl crush. Like Key is a lesbian. And so they like became super close friends. And then randomly Sarah just stopped talking to her one day. And like he tried to like confront her. Sarah had like a party that she didn't invite Key to. She invited like everybody except for Key. And Key was like, F this girl, and called the police and got the party broken up. And so they've been like enemies ever since.
He finds Big John, so Dumby's dad's glasses on the island Scooter was on during the storm, and deduces that the deaths of Big John, Scooter, and the two men who were pursuing the Pokes are connected. Sarah and Key work out their issues, which is basically them being like, why does she say? I don't remember why Sarah says, because she says something about why she didn't invite her to the party or whatever. Right?
Sarah, it's the same thing with Wheezy, where earlier Wheezy was like, she's cheated on every boyfriend she's ever had. And Sarah's like, I just really don't like whenever I realize that I'm getting close to someone, it really freaks me out. And so I just abandon them and I bail on people a lot. And Kia's like, well, if you do that to John B, I'm gonna beat you up. And Sarah's like, okay.
He's like, okay, cool. Oh, they go to the Crane house to try and get the gold. They have this whole plan where the girls deactivate the motion sensors, the boys go into the basement and basically have John be in like this pulley system because it's like down in the ground. And so they have him in this like pulley thing. Blah, 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 blah. A noise awakens Mrs. Crane. John B finds Mr. Crane's bones at huh?
Because they're not being quiet. They're like loud.
Yeah, they are being loud because they have the whole because don't they have it like hooked up to the car? Like they have all the like a rig to the car or whatever.
But it's like they're like the lady is legally blind. She's not deaf. They can be quiet.
John B finds Mr. Crane's bones at the bottom of the well, but also finds the gold. But he happens to see it when they're pulling him up because it's in the side of the wall.
Denmark hit it really well.
Yeah. Mrs. Crane tries to attack Kiara, but Sarah pulls her to safety. Mrs. Crane tries to shoot the Pogues, but they escape with a few bars of gold. Because they're going to come back later for the rest of it. Because it's like a lot of gold, so they can't like just have him.
Yeah, and fight off an 80-year-old woman with a shotgun at the same time.
Yeah. Essentially. Episode 7. Oh, I guess we haven't even explained Ward because in this next part it says Ward overhears Sarah and John B talking about the golden sabotages the Pogues plan, but we haven't even explained why that makes sense.
Well, neither has the show. Like, we
has it? I can't tell.
So like in like the first like 2 episodes, there were those people who were like chasing after the kids and like shooting at them because they had the compass, and then they just turn up dead. Like they just like one day they just show up dead, and Sheriff Peterkin is like, great, now I've got to investigate a homicide on top of everything else. She was like, I didn't have enough to do. And she figures out that whoever killed them like used like a gaff hook to like dig into them and kill them, and then threw them overboard on a boat to make it look like they got like hit by like sharks or whatever. And then we see like Ward Cameron, Sarah's dad, has like big ass gaff hook in his like yard or something, and so we're like, oh, so he's been killing people, so he clearly has something to do with this and ulterior motives and whatnot.
Yeah. The Pogues try to pawn off a single gold nugget that Kiara makes, but are ambushed by Barry, who is Topper's drug dealer friend that he lives with now.
No, that's Rafe.
Rafe. I know, but Barry is Rafe's friend.
Yeah, you just said Topper.
Oh, Topper. Sorry, Rafe. You know what I meant. Same evil. The Pogues incapacitate Barry and regain the nugget. JJ steals Barry's cash stash, which is important because this does come back up. JJ stands up to Luke, his dad, and leaves, and then spins the cash on a hot tub. And the saddest scene of the whole show is about to happen. So Key and Po show up at John B's house because that's where JJ is, and JJ essentially stands up, and like you can see him covered in bruises, and he's like talking to his, I just wanted to do something nice. Oh, because they're mad that he spent all the money or whatever.
Because it was supposed to go towards his restoration.
Towards his bail. Yeah. Towards his 30K. Whatever. But then they're all like, JJ. Sad. And then they all hug, and it's very sad. That scene is almost as sad as him getting beat up in the first place. That kind of horrific. Kind of poor JJ. But it's fine. It's all right. What happened? The next line is Sarah and John B have sex in a secret spot.
Yeah, they have sex in a church.
Yeah, which is
another thing. It was they shot in this old AME church, and they were like, yeah, there's this abandoned church. I don't think that it's really abandoned. But I remember afterwards, like a bunch of like white kids were like sneaking into the church to go to the place where John B and Sarah had sex, and they had to be
Weird.
like, "Stop coming to
Not
this."
funny, haha, but funny weird.
They were like, "Stop doing that."
Why is that even a line? Anyways, fast forward. Um oh, John B and Ward go on a fishing trip. And Ward is like, we can be partners, John B, and we can get all the gold together, yada yada yada. Because Ward has a bunch of money and all that stuff. And basically
How
Ward,
are you going to turn that gold into actual cash? Like, what's your
yeah.
plan? And
Um,
John B, well, like he's like because Ward says something where he's like, yeah, like you don't really have a plan, like you've just been going around like with the Redfield compass and stuff like that. And John B is like, how the hell do you know about Redfield? Because he's like I didn't even know that was my grandma's maiden name. Like, how do you know that? And then he like puts it together that like Ward must have seen the compass that his dad had. And he's like, did you kill my dad? And Ward is like,
yeah. It's like,
Ward
and then
is
they start fighting, and then he tries to spear him. Ward tries to spear him. And then basically Ward, does he knock him off the boat or something like that? He like knocks him
like,
out, and then he gets on a jet ski, and then he gets out of there.
yeah,
Essentially.
very, very scary.
John B rides off. There's a salon who reveals that War stole Big John's map to the gold and left him for dead. And Scooter found Big John's compass with his last message to John B. If that makes any sense. There was a lot of information all at once. Because this is basically like the big reveal that Ward is the one that killed Big John, essentially. Not essentially. He well,
Yeah, it's like
see.
I can't even remember what it was. I think Ward was like, oh, are we gonna split it like 80-20 or something like that? And Big John was like, why would we do that? I literally did all of the work.
Yeah, because Ward joins at the end of the project or the whatever they're doing.
Which is like, I don't
he
even
joins
know
at the
why
very
he
end.
needed to work with Ward to find that.
I
Like,
think because he needed money, right? And Ward like gave him the like funds.
I guess. I don't know. I genuinely have no clue. But so then Ward gets mad and like pushes him, and John B's dad like hits his head and like starts bleeding. And Ward literally just gives up. Ward
Yeah,
sees
he's like,
that
what?
he's bleeding, and he just gets freaked out, and he's like, he's probably dead, and just pushes him off the boat. It's like he could have been alive. Like you could have tried.
You could have tried a little harder. Aid. Yada yada yada. John B tries to tell Sarah, but Ward like shows up or whatever, and it's like, stay away from John B. He's evil. He did all this stuff. Yada yada yada.
Oh yeah, Ward like cuts himself or something, and then he's like, "Oh, John B attacked
Oh,
me."
he did. Yeah, he did this to me. And then he also gets the gold from the Crane house. So when they go back, the gold is not there. Horrible. Key and Poe have a fight. Don't remember about what.
Pope is because like they're trying to figure out what Ward did with the gold, and Pope is like, I think like Pope is like stressed out about something, right? And so
Probably
like
about his scholarship.
I'm trying to figure out if that happens yet or not.
Or no,
No,
I think it's about his dad because his dad keeps like being like, I don't want you around them. Like how Key's dad is.
but like Pope for some reason tells Key that he has a crush on her and he's loved her for like years or whatever. And Key is like, is now the time? And so Pope gets mad.
Hey, they had no chemistry. Them two had zero.
You say that, I liked them together.
Really? I
don't think he
I
has,
love Pope, but I don't think they had chemistry together.
I don't think he has chemistry with any of those boys, but I liked them together. It's also because I also suspected that they were going to make Key and JJ get together. And I was like, well, I would rather her be with Pope because I feel like that's a dynamic that I haven't actually seen before.
Well, yeah. I don't know.
I was like, I've seen like the bad boy, whatever, with the heart of gold, and then like the good girl, whatever. I was like, I would much rather see her end up with like the smarty pants boy and like figure out what that dynamic would be. So that was cute while it lasted, at least.
You have a point. You have a point. You have a point. Pope runs out of his interview the next morning when he realizes that Ward is leaving the island with the gold. I don't remember how he figures that out.
Yeah, he like I don't remember either. He like
It,
he somehow just puts two and two together in the middle of his interview where he's
yeah.
like, oh, like he oh no, his dad is the one who's like doing something for Ward. Because like how his dad
Mm,
works for like the
yeah.
Kings. His dad that morning mentioned he was like, yeah, I've got to go down to like the runway or whatever because Ward's trying to like get a plane out and it's too heavy, so like they need like more space, so he had to like go and clear it out. And Pope is in the middle of his interview and he's like, why would he need more space? Like, why would it be too heavy? And he's like, he's about to fly away with my money.
Pope is so mad at this point.
And so
So
Pope like, excuse me, like I have to go get
yeah,
my
leaves his scholarship interview, which is like his ticket out. So it's a very big deal. And then
and he's
blah,
back
blah, blah, blah,
together.
blah. Yeah. Rafe
But they
also
all
finds
go
out
to
that
the
Ward and Sarah are taking a plane. Oh, Ward is taking Sarah with him to the Bahamas
right.
because
Which
Sarah at this point has realized that Ward is in the wrong. Well, no, not yet, right?
well, she suspects.
Yeah,
Like
she
she's like,
suspects
oh, like something is going on. I
because he
think,
like locks her in the room, right?
yeah, like I think at some point John B was like, I think your dad killed my dad. And so Sarah is like suspicious of that. And Sarah Cameron has already established that she's like very like morally like she's not like a morally gray character. Like if she knows something is wrong, she's gonna do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
So Ward knows that like if Sarah knows that I killed this guy, she's gonna turn me in. So he like tries to take her and the gold at the same time.
Yeah. So basically, everyone's on the airstrip. Everyone shows up. They take their little van and
Yeah.
drive it through the
A little
woods.
Volkswagen, which
Yeah.
again, so southern. Like you remember that dude in high school who had that big
Mm-hmm.
ass Volkswagen van? Like they really did that for us. They did
Mm-hmm.
really.
Yeah, John B's little van, love that. But they drive up in front of the plane, stop the plane, and then Ward drags Sarah onto the plane. John B forces Ward to stop the plane. Keep Up and JJ leave, and the cops show up because they're like, we all can't get arrested.
Well, yeah, because JJ's like, I'm on probation.
Yeah. Peterkin tells Ward he's under arrest for the murder of Big John. When Ward resists, Peterkin draws a gun on him and Rafe shoots Peterkin. I gasped so audibly when that happened. I said,
Which, like, is it implied that Rafe got that gun from JJ? Like, that's the gun? Because I think the
I
last time that we saw the gun, they were like fighting at the movies, maybe. And then whenever he was like, "Oh, Keith,"
no, because they have the gun in season later in this episode, or in the next episode. Because
oh,
remember, they lose it in the woods,
oh, I
right?
had no idea how Rafe got a gun. Then
I think no, he gets it from Barry, right? I thought he got it from Barry.
that would make sense. Yeah.
I think so. But anyways, Rafe shoots Sheriff Peterkin. That shit was crazy. Crazy, 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 crazy.
And it's like the whenever he shoots, like, because Outer Banks is such like a stressful show.
It is.
Like
So much drama.
I was stressed out watching that shit. So like whenever Peterkin is like saying like you're under arrest for the murder of John B. Rutledge, I said finally. I said like finally, like I don't have to be stressed out anymore. We're figuring this out. Bam. And she like looks down and she's the one with the gunshot wound. I said
I was so
I'm
clever.
never going
I
to
said,
know peace with these characters.
literally. They said no risk. No risk for you.
Literally not. No.
So episode 9. In the aftermath of the sheriff's shooting, John B flees while Ward sends to the plane carrying the gold to the Bahamas and attempts to save Sheriff because the police show up and John B runs. So then Ward does Ward get shot too? Ward shoots himself, right? Like in the
No.
leg or something?
I don't think so. I think it's like
I thought he did.
like I think what it was that like Sheriff Peterkin had already started radioing in that she was arresting on the strip. So like Ward gets like Ward is like, don't worry, like I'm gonna call the police right now. Cause like John B and Sarah are running away too for some reason. And Sarah's like, no, like we have to make sure that like Sheriff Peterkin gets help because she's the only one who knows the truth. And Ward's like, don't worry, I'm gonna call the police. I'm calling them right now.
Oh yeah.
And of course he doesn't call. He just watches Sheriff Peterkin bleed out on the runway.
Yeah. And then so the deputy comes and Ward blames the murder on
John B, yeah.
John B to protect his son. And then I guess Sarah comes home because she gets locked up
I have no clue.
in the room. Remember, she comes home because she stays with him or something like that. She does something, and then what's her sister's name? Wheezy lets her out of the room.
Mhm.
John B goes on the run. His friends try to protect him. Poke decide to steal JJ's father's boat so that John B can flee the island while Rafe also hunts him. Pope has his heart broken after confessing his love to Key. So sad because they have that big argument. I want to add that in.
Yeah, like
Key and JJ, or not JJ, Pope.
like Pope is so stressed out about losing his scholarship that JJ is like, oh, here, like smoke some, like gives him like a vape pen. And so now JJ is just, so now Pope is just like high as hell. And he's like, I love you. I've always loved you and I need you to know this.
John B evades the manhunt. He is choked by, he's running around in all the neighborhoods. It breaks into someone's house. What's his name? Kelsey? Is it Kelsey or
Kels?
Kels. Goes into his house. At first you think that Kels is going to help him, but then he locks John B in the bathroom. And then he's dropped by, and Topper's there too. Who is irrelevant.
Topper comes by for some reason.
Yeah. And then John B, he gets out somehow. When they're going to call the cops or whatever, he convinces Kels to let him out or something like that. Or he tricks him or something. Topper later tricks the police to prove how much John B meets Sarah in like the church thing that they were at where they had sex, whatever. And then Topper follows them there. It shows up at the top of the thing, but then starts yelling that John B is up there, but then lets them escape because he loves Sarah. Because he wants Sarah.
He's like, let me prove how much I love
that scene.
you.
I was a Topper stan in that moment. I said, crazy, but I'm brave. So they and then Rafe sets their hiding place on fire because he's insane. With thinking his sister is in there, still sets it on fire.
I've got to figure this out.
I cannot help you. Okay, episode 10. Ooh. Season finale of Outerbanks season 1. Is that dramatic? I guess we should have been saying the episode titles. Whatever. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Whatever. Okay, who the hell is Rose? Oh, his wife? Is that who that is?
That's Sarah's stepmom.
Okay. Ward and Rose plan to retrieve the gold. Police swarm the island. John B and Sarah stay in hiding. Ward intercepts Sarah when she tries to call the cops, but she escapes. The Pokes steal the Phantom, JJ's father's boat, while John B returns home to retrieve the gold nugget and comes back in Shoop's police car. What? Did he steal his police car?
Yeah.
Okay. Makes sense. Because that would happen.
Because like the cop like took the gold. I don't know how he got it as like evidence. And John B was like, I'm getting my gold back. And so he like breaks into the cop car and takes the gold, and then he ends up stealing the car as well.
Yeah, because John B just does what John B wants. It doesn't matter. This is his studio. This is his circus. These are his monkeys. But what happens? Rafe and Barry attack the post because they're in the like airship place. Where are they? They're in like some garage or something.
Yeah, I don't know why they're there.
They're in some garage, but Pope overpowers them and beats them up essentially.
Yeah.
Good for Pope. Good for him.
Pope has the anger on his side. He's just got rage.
I know. Good for Pope. I love.
Because like he's jumped by them now, and he just got his heart broken. He just lost his scholarship. He's just fueled by rage.
Exactly. Barry learns of Wraith's crime, which is shooting Sheriff Peterkin, and implies to a blackmail Wraith, which is Barry's kind of scary. Like at first he was kind of goofy, but then towards the end he was kind of scary.
Barry is just funny because why does he sound like that?
I love watching him in interviews too, because he
does he sound like that in interviews?
Yeah.
That's
no, he
so
sounds like
funny.
I think he sounds like a regular guy from what I remember. I don't know. But it's very funny. I love watching interviews of this cast.
Barry Barry the character has like this crazy like black scent weird southern thing going on. It doesn't really make sense, but it's very fun.
It is very funny. John B and Sarah flee on the Phantom as a tropical storm strikes, but are soon spotted. The way this is filmed, I wish it was my background right now because it's so funny. It's like them, like nothing but the dark ocean, and there's like one spotlight on John B and Sarah on this boat, like the waves, tidal waves, and they're still like going strong. Whatever. Ward tries to manipulate John B into bringing Sarah back because they have like a walkie on the ship that they can interact with, and they're like talking to each other. John B reveals Ward's actions to the cops, leading to Ward's arrest. With the Phantom capsizes in the storm, and John B and Sarah are presumed dead. So sad, so dramatic. As their friends mourn, Pope and Key start a relationship.
You really think someone would do that? Just go on the internet and tell lies?
That's not true.
No, it doesn't happen that way.
It doesn't happen that way. Wikipedia, police. Anyways, John B and Sarah end up on a cargo ship with the ship. Oh, basically they like there's a scene where they're on like the shredded pieces of the boats in a big cargo ship comes by, and they hop on there, and the ship is on its way to Nassau, and they realize they can get the gold back because, as you know, they were flying the gold to the Bahamas. And that's season 1 of Outerbanks.
I also like Ward is so evil in that last episode. Like, I mean, he's already evil because he's been like killing people, obviously. But then he also does this thing where like Sarah is like, oh, I'm going to like tell the police what my dad's been doing. And she gets to them and she's saying like, okay, so my dad killed the sheriff, my dad killed my boyfriend's dad, and he is like, and he's just using his reputation, his status to get away with everything because he knows that you guys won't believe us. And Ward like comes out of nowhere and is like, oh, sorry, my daughter's diagnosed bipolar very recently, and so we've just been dealing with that. Evil.
He's so evil. That's an evil man. I was gasping. I said, if I ever saw that man on the street,
it's just so, like, it was just so sad to me that he would like do that to his daughter. Like,
I am not surprised though. He killed a man. He killed multiple men.
Validate literally anything she could say to the police.
Why did I think?
What?
No, that doesn't happen in this season. Never mind. Don't worry about me. I was about to spoil something for season 2.
So season 1 thoughts about Outerbanks.
I love season 1. I thought it was such a good show. It was so iconic, so camp. I loved it. I love all the characters. There's not a character I dislike. Well, you know what I mean. Like, there's not a character I'm not interested in.
Yeah, I remember like being like shocked about the whole Rafe thing because like I didn't see it the first time I was watching, like just how like unhinged he was.
Oh, he was.
And so like yeah, like whenever I rewatched it, I saw then I was like, oh okay, yeah. He's insane.
But I thought they did it really well. Like, as dramatic as the show is, because drama, but it was so. I guess that was so, and it's so fun. It's such a fun show to watch.
I saw that the actor Chase Stokes was like, at first I thought it was like a Goonies remake.
I mean, yeah, it does have similar like Southern kids running around the town, getting in trouble. My thoughts. I love Outerbanks. I'm a stan.
It's very fun. It's very fun.
And our leader, Slade, Your Honor.
Madelyn Cline, the icon, the legend, the moment.
The icon. Literal legend.
I loved season 1. Pope is my favorite character.
Oh, JJ's my favorite character, if we're putting that out there.
Yeah, I love Pope.
I do love.
And I absolutely am biased because he's black yet again. I'm always going to be rooting for everybody black. I need you to know that right now. Especially on a Netflix show where they pretend we don't exist. I'm always going to be rooting. I also just love that like Pope is like this like nerdy, like upright little boy. He's just so cute. He's so adorable. I love him. Also,
I do love him too.
It doesn't hurt that he's played by Jonathan Davis because that's a man right there.
I was looking at his Instagram the other day and I was just like, ooh,
That's a beautiful
my man.
That's a beautiful man.
He looks so good. I need to see Do Revenge just because I want to see him in it.
Oh my gosh, can we do a Do Revenge episode?
We can, because I'm gonna watch it.
Let's literally watch Do Revenge together. Right, so that's our first Outer Banks episode. 2 more are coming, and then I love Madelyn Cline. Love Madelyn Cline.
I know we gotta do a Glass Onion too.
I know.
We gotta watch Glass Onion.
We've got to do a Knives Out one as well, which we can do like a little preview of Knives Out, I guess, in the Glass episode too. I guess.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
I'm so excited. I love Madelyn Cline. See you next week when Madelyn Cline. I don't know. What's another Goose Creek thing?
When Madelyn Cline visits Alex's restaurant for the first time.
We already did Alex's restaurant.
We didn't do Alex's restaurant.
We did.
She goes to the new CC's and discovers it's just not the same.
Oh no. Madelyn Cline goes to the new Chipotle only to learn that they have immediately shut down.
They're already closed.
A week after opening.
Only in Goose Creek.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.